I don't know. I think it's just doing the same thing as we have all season. I work with Paul, our trainer, a lot. He's really good at what he does, and he knows my body probably better than I do. So I'm with him every day, and he just prepares me to go out there and do my best. And I think as long as we stay on that routine, we should be good.
Next question, in the back there.
Zach, presumably you've never had a layoff quite like Christopher is facing, but I'm just wondering from a pitcher's perspective, what's the particular challenge of, overcoming that kind of a layoff and maybe dealing with rust?
Yeah. As much as you don't like to think that there would be rust, there probably is going to be rust. Just you can throw as many bullpens as you want and whatever it may be. I know he threw it live the other day, so that definitely helps. But I don't know. I mean, he's just got to find it once he's out there quick. If he doesn't have it, that type of thing. I think you just got to be quick with adjustments if you aren't where you want to be necessarily. But he's really came into his own this year, and we have all the trust in him, and that's why he's out there. So really looking forward to watching him.
Go straight in the back there, Tom, on the right.
Zach, can you give us an idea of what JT has meant for this staff, not only during the year, but in particular from the end of September into the postseason?
Yeah, it means everything. I don't shake off a lot. I don't do a lot of scouting report myself. I rely a lot on him and Caleb and our staff, but mostly from JT. He sees the hitters, he watches a ton of video, he writes his own notes, and he's a great catcher and great game caller, and he can hit too. So I think he's one of the better athletes in the game, and with him behind the plate calling the game for me, it makes it a lot easier for me for sure.
Back here, Jeff.
Zach, in the 14 years since you've been drafted, what have been the changes that you've seen in the development and expectations of starting pitchers? And do you think starting pitchers these days are asked to do as much as they could or should?
That's a good question. It's something that I kind of think about a good bit and kind of not at the same time because I can't really do anything about it. But from my shoes, coming up as a top prospect, I was babied a little bit, and that's, I guess, normal. I guess if I was drafting somebody who I thought had potential and a really good arm, I'd probably do the same thing. But at the same time, I think maybe today they're holding them back a little bit too much. You can have all the good bullpen arms that you want. We're talking about the big leagues now. But if every starter's going 5 innings, it's going to eventually wear down the bullpen over the long run. And the bullpen right now is where they come in big time for us, is in the playoffs. You need them fresh. You need a starter who can go, 5, 6, 7 innings, at least a couple that can go deeper just throughout the season. Those 1 or 2 innings more than other starters sometimes add up over the season. But it's not my call, and I don't make that investment, so I can't tell you how to do it. But just from being a starter and running through that process, I would like to see the leash unravel a little bit more. You gotta pitch in tough situations. You got to pitch fatigued. You got to pitch tired at the end of the season to be able to know how to do that at the big league level. And I think you have to learn that in the minor leagues. When you run out of juice, you still have to be able to pitch. So I think that's big.
Down here, Pete.
Zach, playing off of Jeff's question a little bit, there's teams in both of these series have used openers at this stage of the season. As a guy who's been a career starting pitcher, how much does that concern you? Do you think it's good for the game, bad for the game?
Flip a coin, right? I mean, if you got the guys to do it, I guess it's fine. It does wear on your bullpen a little bit, but that's, like we were just talking about, it's part of the game these days. And I can only control myself, and I think maybe that makes myself put a little more pride into going deeper into the games, so I can allow that to happen and everybody be comfortable with it later after my start. Sometimes I've had the opener, the game before me, and so the next day I'm like, all right, I have to go 7 or 8, like to save the guys. Or I know I have it the day after me. All right, I got to go 7 or 8 at least to be able to, make that work, how the team plans on making it work. So, I don't know. It's interesting for sure.
Okay, take a few more for Zach. We got Scott in the back on the left.
Zach, you mentioned Paul and the influence he's had. You know,
Yeah.
he was with Red Sox teams that made deep runs, and
Yeah.
Topper was with Yankees teams that made deep runs. Dave's been with teams that made deep runs. Is there anything you could point to from a training perspective or a strength and conditioning that has kept you guys as a staff as healthy as you've been all year?
Yes. Paul's very smart. He knows what he's doing. Like you said, he's been a part of playoff teams. He's gone deep. So is Dabrowski, so is Topper. I mean, those guys have been a part of winning, organizations and teams. And, I think part of that was, Paul just leading us in even before we got deep last year, our offseason plan. We were going to push it back a little bit, but not too far. And maybe start throwing a little earlier than you normally would just because you're wearing so much on your arm. You don't want it to seize up, by taking your normal rest. So you start a little bit earlier throwing, which was kind of mind-blowing to me, but it worked. And, like that just goes back to, having that trust, player and coach and staff trust. And it's worked out so far.
How about in season? Like, has there been more focus or less or whatever on recovery or anything different about just the routine during the season? That's because as a staff, you guys have really avoided, a lot of serious.
I
injury.
thought about that last year. During our run was, we haven't had, knock on wood, a lot of soft tissue injuries like, hammies or whatever it may be. Even, just fatigue from the pitchers. You don't see that a lot with us, and I think that speaks volumes to how they handle us and how they treat us and how they just prep us. They're in there, they're working tirelessly, and they're all doing their job, and you got to give credit to them. We're staying on the field, and that's what winning teams do: is stay on the field.
Down here, Jake.
Stolen bases were up in the regular season more than they've been in a long time, but that number has gone back down to previous levels in October. I'm just curious, do you have any theories as to why that's the case?
No. Sorry. No. No, I don't know. Maybe teams are just a little more hesitant about giving up an out, maybe. We got one of the best catchers behind the plate on our team, pop time, throwing-wise. So maybe they're a little more hesitant to possibly get it out. And, you try to, I don't know, just manufacture runs. And that's part of manufacturing runs. But at the same time, maybe just let your guys swing and try to get the guy over rather than have him still. But I don't know.
Have you been more cognizant and like hyper aware about mixing up your looks and your timing in October because the game's been a little bit more?
Certain players and certain teams, yeah. There's a couple guys on the Braves that you had to be more aware of than others. This team's really young and athletic. They can run, and even some of the guys that you don't think would run take their chances sometimes. So, maybe more teams, more series than others. Yeah, you got to pay more attention, but yeah.
Take one more, Jeff, in the back.
We were talking about younger players in the developmental a little earlier, but I think it extends even to pitchers such as yourself. The last complete game in the postseason was in 2017.
Yeah.
Do you have aspirations to actually throw a playoff CG, or is that something that, because of your bullpen and because of the way baseball's played these days, doesn't really even enter your mind anymore?
Well, I think as a starter, I think your goal every time is to throw a complete game with no runs scored. I think that's the goal every time. But realistically, these days, the bullpens are probably a little better than they were. So teams take advantage of that. And, whether it be the third time through the order or, this late in the year, you can afford to take out your starter when maybe back, 10 years ago you weren't able to just because maybe you trusted your starter a little more than some of your bullpen guys. I feel like there's more dominant guys in the bullpen maybe than there was. So teams are just taking advantage of that, I feel like.
Thanks, Zach. Appreciate it.
Good.